Good morning. Namaste. Welcome to class. So just finding your comfortable seat. We're going to spend a little time in pranayama and meditation, and then we're going to move into our asana. So any nice comfortable seat with an erect spine. And then with the bottom of your body soft, and you can always put a block underneath your knees if that will help you soften the groin area. Feel free to grab a couple of blocks or books or anything and put them right under your knees to soften the whole groin. And then let the spine come up out of this soft base. So as if you had created a pedestal out of which the spine is going to lift to the back corner of the pedestal. Relax your shoulders. You can make a few shoulder circles. Let your eyes drift to the floor for a moment, or you can close them completely. And just getting in touch with your breath. Finding it in your belly or your chest, not judging where it is, just finding it. And then with intention, taking a few abdominal breaths. So exhaling the breath out as you draw the belly to the spine, and then release the belly and let the breath come in. Let the muscles of the abdomen be the guide here. So pull the muscles back to the spine, then release the muscles and let the breath come in as a reflex, a natural breath. And then bringing the hands into the heart, Anjali Mudra. With gratitude, we salute all the great yoga masters, past and present. Special prayer of thanksgiving for Baba Hari Das. With joy, we recognize the excellent wisdom teachings of yoga, Ayurveda, and with vigor, we dedicate ourselves to self-transforming practice. Just like every time you come to class, what do you need right now for self-transformation? Let that thought fill your mind. And then let it drift down into your heart space, and we'll bring it back at the end of class. Join me if you can, where you are, for one resounding Om. Exhaling the breath out and inhaling to chant. Om. And releasing your hands to your legs for a moment. So as we do our pranayama practice, just letting your arms and hands be soft and easy. They can be here, wherever it's comfortable, okay? So again, getting in touch with the abdominal breath. So exhaling belly to spine, release the belly, breath comes in. For those of you who know the Swasayam Kriyas that Babaji gave us, this is Kriya 6, belly to spine, release the belly, breath comes in. You might even hear a little gasp in yourself as you release the belly with the mouth closed. It's all nasal breath. Two more. Good. And then let's bring the breath up into the chest area, but don't think high chest. That really innervates our sympathetic rest and digest just kind of goes to the floor, and our fight, flight, fright becomes on, and we don't want to do that. So we're not breathing up here into the chest. We're breathing here into the chest. So putting your hands around your side ribs is a good way to give you an indication that you're keeping the breath low in the ribs, but in the chest area, and the belly stays stable. So exhaling belly to spine and inhaling into the hands. Keep the belly stable as you inhale into the hands. And as you exhale, watch the lungs recoil. Chest caves in, inhale, chest expands. and exhale. 2 more. Now we're going to combine those movements into our yogic breath, okay? So you can just let your fingers drop for a minute. So keep the thumbs to the back ribs if you can, and let your fingers just kind of drop so they've got part on your belly and part on your chest. My index finger's on my low ribs, index finger and thumb, and my other fingers are just resting at the top of my belly, okay? So now that we're set up, exhale, belly to spine. Release the belly, breath starts there. And then draw that same inhale into your chest. Feel it go to the back of the chest, front, back, side, side, all around the chest. Belly recedes as that happens. And then at the top of the inhale, just a slight pause, and then exhale the breath all the way out. Good. Little tug, belly to spine. Release the belly, breath comes in. And then draw that breath into the ribs. Think side ribs, back ribs, front ribs. Bring it into the full circle of your ribs as the belly recedes on its own because there's nothing down there anymore as the diaphragm contracts to the sides. And then exhale, breath smoothly, gently out. Good. Let's do one more. And then relax your hands. You can put them in the mudra of wisdom, Gyan mudra, for a moment. So the palm is facing up. Tuck in your index finger and just place the thumb on the nail. So the thumb is on the nail of the index finger. Gyan mudra, the mudra of wisdom. So for just a moment, connecting with that yogic breath again. So no hands, but exhaling, belly to spine. Use the abdominal muscles, pull the belly toward the spine. Release the belly, let the breath start there. And then draw that same inhale. Start to the back, to the front, to the sides. Pull the breath all the way into the chest area as the chest expands and the belly recedes. Slight pause at the top. And then exhale slowly, smoothly, gently, evenly. When you're sure you got the breath out, a little tug to the belly. And then release the belly and start again. Count this time. How long is your inhale? Fill the ribs completely, front to back, side to side. Pause at the top, and then exhale. Let's exhale 4 more counts than what your inhale was. So if you inhale 4, exhale 8. If you inhale 8, exhale 12. If you inhale 12, exhale 16. Smooth it out. And again. Slow down your exhale, smooth it out. Keep it even. And at the very bottom of the exhale, a little tug, belly to spine. Then release the belly, start all over. Don't forget to put the breath in the back of the ribs. This is intentional. Who knows where it really goes? The lungs are just filling, but your body can feel the pran moving in. And then smooth out your exhale. A little tug, belly to spine. Just one more full yogic breath. Inhale, belly. Draw that same inhale into the chest as the belly begins to recede on its own. Top of the inhale, a slight pause. And then smoothing and evening out the exhaled breath. When you get to the bottom of the exhale, just letting your eyes drop your gaze to the floor or close them completely. And then fall into your natural breath. Relax your fingers. If you're really pressing into your index finger, relax the hold. Let your hands be soft, belly be soft, body be soft. And just notice the smoothness and the evenness of the breath without changing it in the least, meditating on the inhale and the exhale. Just naming, I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. Keeping the mind busy. Keep it on the breath. One-pointed concentration on the breath. Soft, shallow, just enough to sustain you. I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. I'm inhaling, I am exhaling. I am inhaling, I am exhaling. Hone in your focus. Inhaling, exhaling. Releasing the mudra and the mantra. Bringing yourself fully back into the room. Nice and slowly, letting your senses come online. Just noticing the space around you. Just take a glimpse. Eyes activated. Wiggle your nose, wriggle your ears, your mouth. Touch. So let's start this morning with what Babaji calls Shitali. Shitali Karani. No, that's how he does Shavasana when you toss your head to the left. So we're going to start with joint warm up. It also has a name, starts with Shitali. But go ahead and take your left ankle and let your foot get nice and soft and just wiggle it. And then grab the toe, and it's called ankle cranking, and just crank it. And it'll want to help. So make sure that you're doing it with your hand, not with anything else. Then go in the other direction 3 or 4 times, ankle cranking. Good. And then shake it out again. And then let's move into the left knee. The only thing the knee likes to do is flex. Doesn't like any sideways. Good. And then the hip out to the side and a bit, out to the side and a bit. Just moving the head of the femur and the acetabulum. And if you have any hip tightness, just don't go so far. Good. And then extend that leg out for a moment. And then gently, and you can put your block back if you'd like. And then now with the right foot. So shake out the ankle. Just nice shaking out. And sometimes it's really hard to do that. So just shake it. And then ankle cranking. And you'll see what I mean about it really wants to do it itself. Your feet are not used to the somatic control. They're used to doing what they want when they want. And there is a connection, but we have kind of lost it. Okay, knee flexion and extension. Extend, flex, extend, flex. Good. And now the hip joint, inward and outward rotation. Good. Okay. And then leg all the way out for a moment. Just extend it out. And then bring it in and find again your Sukhasana, your easy seat. Okay. You can have your blocks underneath you or not. Make some circles, continuing with the hips for a moment. We're circling the pelvic basket around the heads of the femurs, coming back. Good. And then let's move into the shoulder girdle. Let's make some circles with the left shoulder. Taking it back and then take it forward. And then the left elbow just moving in a circle, and then the other direction. And then extension and flexion, like Popeye. Just opening and closing, flexion and extension at the elbow. Don't hyperextend, keep that micro bend in there. Good. And then wrist. So making some big circles with your wrist. You can bend your elbow as much as you need. You don't have to strain. Both directions. And then dig your fingers into something. And then shake out the hand. Like we shook out the foot, but this time the hand is helping you. Okay. And then just rest that whole arm and hand somewhere and begin with the right shoulder. Big circles or small. You're just getting everything juicy. Good. And then circles with the elbow. Both directions. And then flexion and extension with the elbow. Okay, and then wrist circles, one direction. And then the other. Good, and then dig your fingers into some big brown bear fur. Just dig in. Good. And then let's just take both arms out and up for a second. Just abduction and adduction. Good. And then a little bit of side bending. Keep your arms close to your body for a moment, just a little bit of side bending. And then we're going to move into a little bit of rotation. Okay, so coming up and then a little bit of rotation over to the left 3 times, just to the left. As you know, Babaji teaches us to inhale, and I went 4. Good. So now everything except the neck is warmed up, okay? And let's warm our neck up while we're in table pose. So you probably want to look for just a second so that you can then focus on your neck. But when we get where we're going in table, we're going to do it here. So we have to hold the head. We're going to make a big circle, and then we're going in the other direction. And then we're going to take the head out side to side. Okay, so just looking at the floor for a minute, okay? So keep your head as an extension of your spine, looking down at the floor, press into your arms. So you have the space between your shoulder blades is filled. It's not a big indentation there. You have that pressed into the floor. Good. And then using just your head, make some big circles. And then go in the other direction. And then take your head and look out to the left and back, left and back, left and back. Then to the right. Good. And then let's go ahead and do cat-cow. So we're going to use our neck here. So tuck the chin into the chest. Press the floor away. Take a few breaths here. So we're not yet slinging the spine through this hammock that we've created. Knees are underneath your hips. Wrists are underneath your shoulders, not your hands. Your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Your hands are in front of your shoulders. Good. And then come back into neutral. Find yourself in a neutral spine. And then head in the other direction. Feel the length in your neck. Keep the back of the neck long. Don't just dump the head back. And then come into neutral. Okay, let's swish our whole body a little bit into big barrel rolls. Don't go too far to the side. Remember, you're contained. Your hips shouldn't go any further than your shoulders. Everything is contained. Press into the balls of the fingers. So the base of the finger, as if the palm of the hand could form a suction cup. Go to both sides and then come back into neutral and really press the floor away. Get a lot of space between your shoulders. Go ahead and step your left foot back. And then for just a moment, raise it a little bit off the floor, but look down and make sure all 5 toenails are headed toward the floor. Oh no, all 5 toes. Toenails are headed towards you. Okay, so just look back. Great, and then look down at the floor again, but make your spine an extension. And then we're going to go down to our forearms and back up 3 times. Down to our forearms. Keep the elbows behind the wrist, not out to the side. That's the easy way. And then up, and then release the left leg. Good. And then take the right leg back. Toes are curled under initially. Good. And then look back and make sure that all 5 toes are headed to the floor. So there's no rotation. The leg is just back. And then go down to your forearms 3 times. Good. And then release that leg. And then come up to kneeling. Good. Make some more circles with your hands. And then now let's do just a little external rotation on our legs from this kneeling spot. So let's start with the right leg. Externally rotate it. Just feeling that external rotation for a moment. Stack the knee over the ankle. Make sure that your knee is over your ankle. And when you look down, you cannot see your heel, your ankle, anything. Only perhaps your big toe knuckle on the inside of the leg. Arms to shoulder height for a moment. Let's go ahead and flip the palms and then flip the palms. So giving your shoulders a lift as you're really only using your forearms, but you're taking your shoulders into the movement so that they relax each time. One more set. Good. And then take your gaze out to the left side. Take your gaze out to the left. Pull in your pelvic floor, pull in your belly. And then slowly walk your gaze through the center and over to the right side, but slowly, like you're moving through molasses. Hold it, breathe. Breath is in the chest. There's no room for it in the belly. The belly's engaged. Breathe into the back ribs, low back ribs. Bring the gaze back to the center and then release. Good. And then let's go with the left leg. So left leg externally rotated. Make sure you can't see your heel. This is my limited leg, so I always have to make an effort because my heel would really like for me to see it. Okay, so here you go. Great. And then arms up. And then again, we're going to use the whole of the shoulder. We're going to flip the palms over using just the pronation and supination, but we're pulling up, we're elevating and depressing the shoulder girdle as we do that. Two more. Good. Okay. And then now our gaze is going to go out, lift the pelvic floor, lift the belly, and take our gaze out to the right. As far to the right as is comfortable. Keep the pelvic floor lifted, keep the belly engaged, breathe into the back ribs. And then slowly, as if moving through molasses, bring your gaze back to the center. And then take it out over to the left. Shoulder blades are down the back. Breathe. And then come back into the center with the gaze, nice and slowly. And release the arms. Good. And just notice any sort of vibratory feeling in your chest cavity and your arms, and then release the leg. Good. Okay. So I want us to do just a little exercise right here to kind of prepare our hips and our legs before we stand up again. And those of you who know, I don't really like to go down and then come back up, but for our general purposes today, for our hips, I do want to do that. Okay. So if you have a block or a book, so just watch for a moment so you'll see that the purpose of the action. Our hip flexors are so tight. Okay. So this is a tiny bit of an inversion, but it shouldn't bother anybody unless you're maybe on the first day of your cycle or have. All I want you to do is stretch out your legs and feel those hip flexors are at their maximum extension, not overly done. So this is a little bit of an inversion, so be careful. If you have glaucoma or eye pressure problems, you can also do this standing up one at a time. Just stretch the leg back. But this one is a little bit more relaxed. You could also just lift your head up and put a block right there, if I had a block, because what we're working with is the hips, and then it's not an inversion. So if you have a second block, just put it underneath your head, look up, and we're really just working with the hip flexors, moving right over your pelvic basket. And think about the psoas, which is behind your guts. So it's behind all of your guts, behind all of these belly muscles, all the way to the back. It's attached to every vertebra of the spine, starting at the 12th thoracic vertebra, all of the lumbar vertebra. And then it gets to the inside of your pelvic basket and kind of plays with that iliacus there. And then it comes down over your pelvic basket. So just letting that stretch to its maximum for just a moment. Toes are toward the ceiling. Try not to have any rotation in the legs. And then we're just going to bend our knees and lift ourselves off of the block. Take it out of your head wherever you went, and then just lean over and sit up nice and slowly. Okay, we are going to come back up. So let's transition through our toe balance. So coming into your toe balance, and then hands to the thighs, and then look for an upright spine. So see if you can just sort of right there, get yourself into an upright spine. And then we're going to try our darndest to come up onto the ball of the foot and stand and not put the heels down yet. Okay. And then a little bit of back and forth movement, a little massage to the adrenals. And then drop the heels down. Good. Okay. So that now just touch your pelvic basket right there and just see how that feels right now. See how it feels as you step back your left foot and then roll into your left heel as your right toes come up, and then come back and forth. Just a couple of times, back and forth. Heel goes down, front toes come up, just shifting the weight. Good, and then step back. And then step back with your right foot. Just step it back until that becomes long. And then go back into the heel. Left toes come up and back and forth and back and forth. And then just step forward. Good. Okay, so from right here, let's take our arms out to the side and look up, gaze up, arms up. And then coming over for just a moment, let's come to a flat back, no further. And notice the flexion at the hip. Just notice the flexion that you have at your hip area. Good. And then exhale up. Arms overhead and hands into the heart. Okay. And now we're going to go out to the side. Good. So let's kick out our right heel a little bit and externally rotate our left leg. Draw in the pelvic floor and the belly. So belly is engaged, pelvic floor is engaged. Good. And you can feel that this leg is not in flexion, it's an extension right there. The psoas is over the leg. Okay, it's headed to the back. And then bend the knee on top of or shy of the ankle, and then come back. So this flexion and the other one is an extension. So this is inflection and rotation. Our left leg is inflection and rotation, and our right leg is abducted and extended. And for you, this is for the benefit of my YTT students, my yoga teacher training students. We're really going over what's happening anatomically in the body and how that works. So you're going in and out. 2 more. And this time, stay. Good. Lift through the pelvic floor, lift through the belly, lift through the arms. Arms up and down and up and down and up and down, and keep them down. And then reach out through the fingertips. Take your gaze to the left. Notice your right knee is in front of your arm because your arms are lined up with your torso and your knee is in that external rotation. Breathe. See if you can smooth out the breath. Keep the breath in the chest. Belly is engaged. You need the belly to stay engaged to protect your low back. Release the arms. Bring your gaze back front and center. And straighten the leg. And then unrotate. Good. And then let's kick that left heel out a little bit so you can really engage that as you externally rotate. And now you'll feel that your left groin area, that the left leg has gone into extension and abduction. Go ahead and bend shy of or right on top of the ankle. Good. And then let's flex and extend. Flex and extend the knee. Just notice the flexion and the extension on the left. Flexion on the right, extension on the left. This is performing a major Nadi Shodan. Cleansing of the nadis, cleansing of the energy body. Okay. And then let's go this time and stay. And then bring your arms up and just roll them around a few times, back and forth. You can feel like a seagull. And then extend out. Lift the toes of both feet for a moment to really make sure you are engaged, pelvic floor, belly. And then take your gaze out over the right fingers. When you're sure you're engaged with your legs and your feet, you can drape the toes down, but don't grip the mat. Breathe into the back body. Good, and then let's release the hands and arms. Bring the gaze back, front and center. Good. And then let's straighten the leg and then unrotate. Good. Heel to toe, just enough to make it comfortable for you to step the legs back together into your Tadasana. Good. Look down at your feet. Just see if you've got Tadasana feet, if you kept your heels behind your second and third toes. If not, adjust. Good. And then lift the pelvic floor, lift the belly. So as we do this balance for a moment, we're really going to concentrate on keeping everything in the body still, except for the leg we're using, okay? So we're going to shift the weight to the right, the left leg. You can just take it off the floor for a minute. And you can kickstand it for a sec. I just want us to see that everything on the right side, right on both of the arms and everything on the whole of the right side and left side above your hips are stable. Everything's stable. Good. And then bending the left leg, and you can place it anywhere you want, not against the knee. So any place you'd like, but just that leg for a moment. Find a gazing spot. It wouldn't be me because I'm moving. I'm trying to watch you across the screen. Arms are just limp at your side. And then release the left leg and be still, super still, don't move. Just notice how everything goes recalibrating back into place. Just notice. And then let's shift the weight over to the left side. And just start by moving the right leg and just finding it. And you can just play with it for a minute wherever it is, because everything in the rest of the body is stable. Nothing else is moving. Your arms are just soft. And then place the leg. You can put it on the calf. You can put it on the ankle. You can put it up and over wherever it is, but not pressing into the knee. Keep your drishti, your gazing spot, and breathe. And then as you're ready, you release the right leg, replace it, and then be still, super still. Notice sensations in your legs, in your bottom, in your belly. Good. And then let's go apart one more time. This time we're going to come over evenly into flat back. So looking for a long line of energy from your tailbone to the crown of your head, parallel to the floor, from the hips, not from the waist. So your whole waist went with you. You hinged at the hip. You can look at the floor, hold your hands behind you, and just rest your hands on your bottom. Breathe. Pelvic floor is lifted, belly is lifted. Breathe into the back ribs. Press into the outsides of the feet, lift the toes. Spread the pelvic floor for a moment. Spread your sit bones. Pull the pelvic floor in, pull the belly in. And then super slowly begin to come up really slowly. Very, very slowly. Don't lose your flat back. So everything is coming up as a unit. And finally, relax your toes. Release your arms. And then we're going to heel, toe, heel, because we're coming down into goddess. Good. So right now you can just let your shoulders just slump and just kind of swallow your neck completely. And then press up so that you can see what it's not like. And then look over your left elbow and then come back to the center. Look over your right elbow, dip in the left shoulder and back to center. 2 more times to either side. 1, 1, 2, 2. Good. And for just a minute, no hands, Kali. The goddess of destruction. Good. Lift your pelvic floor, keep your belly in. Smile. Woo! You can see why she has blood dripping out of her mouth. She's exhausted. Let's straighten the legs, release the arms, and then heel toe the rest of the way until you can step together comfortably. Find your standing Shavasana for just a moment, letting your eyes drift to the floor or close completely. Resting your pelvic floor, resting your belly. So you can have some belly breaths right now. Relaxing the space between your shoulders. See if you can let your quads go. Maybe they're just gripping. How about letting your bottom go? What about your jaw? Just another breath or two. And then on an inhale, letting your eyes flutter open. And then let's re-engage muscles. So lift the pelvic floor, quads to the bone, feel the belly come in, everything going. And let's go up onto the ball of the foot, up onto the ball of the foot, and see if we can come down into our toe squat from there. You can also rest your hands on the thighs and look for that upright spine. Good. And then just lean over and just touch the floor for a moment. You kind of have to lean a little bit over to the left side so you can extend your right leg out in front for just a minute. Just the right leg out in front. You're still on the ball of the foot of the left leg. Right leg is in front. Good. Just breathe. Flex the right foot. And then just bring it back, swing it back. And then let's extend the left leg. Flex the left foot. And then let's bring it back. Good. And then let's go down into our heels with help and then find ourselves in Dandasana, staff pose. So maybe move the fleshy part off of your bottom, get your sit bones on the floor, toes facing the ceiling. And then from right here for a moment, let's just check our external rotation. So how do we check it? We just let the leg externally rotate, the whole leg, foot, knee, everything. That's your external rotation in the hip socket. Yep, bring it back. Now right leg, externally rotate. Just notice it. Good, and bring it back. Walk them apart a little bit, just a little bit, right off the mat, no further, just a little bit off the mat. Externally rotate, let's do the right one. Just notice. Bring it back, and the left one. I'm still keeping it engaged. I'm not just relaxing it and bringing it back. Now let's check on our internal rotation. So foot, ankle, knee, keep it engaged into the center on the right and bring it back, and then into the center on the left. This is where I have hardly any movement at all. Good, bring it back. One more time, right side. Where do you have the internal rotation? Knee and foot moving together and back, and then on the left and back. Good. So we're gonna make our way to the floor. And if you have two blocks, I do want you to go back into that position that we were in with the hip flexors, but this time I have a block to put underneath my head so that I won't invert. Now, if you are inverting, I'll show you what you can do, okay? So here we are. And if you're not inverting, you're gonna put the block underneath your head and then lift this block up and put it here, and then scoot it down under your neck and shoulders so you're there, okay? If you have a bolster or a pillow or anything, just kind of evens these out. And then this is it. Now, if you are inverting, I want you to take this this supported bridge on the second side of your block, if that's comfortable for you, not the high side, but the second side. And again, extend the legs if that's comfortable for you. And the hands below the heart. So just check on it, how it feels. Really reach through the toes. You can point the toes and reach through them, and then relax the toes so that the muscles are just into their maximum extension, but there's really no stretching. We have a max that we can go to, and that's where we're headed comfortably. So just another few seconds, about 20 seconds more. And you may have your head up, whichever is there for you. And then coming out of it, so just bend your knees and lift yourself off the block, put your bottom on the floor. Walk your shoulders away. Make sure you have some lumbar curve. Just make sure you have a little lumbar curve. And then lift your hips off the floor, shift them over to the right, drop them down. And then bring your knees in at a right angle to your body. Take your shins away at a right angle to your thighs, and then just come over. And you might put your fist between your knees, okay? And then you can open up. So there's probably space between your knees, and don't try to let that upper leg go too far over. It can create too much space in your SI joint. And then let's shift the legs back into neutral. Put the feet on the floor, shake your bottom out. Lift the hips, shift them over to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 inches. Draw your knees in at a right angle, make the thighs at a right angle, shins away at a right angle, head over to the right side, and then just keep a little bit of space between your knees. You can put a block in there. You can also just use the effort of the leg. what I'm doing. And then come back front and center, shake the body out. Good. And then stretch your legs nice and long, point your toes, take your arms up overhead, get as tall and as long as you possibly can, but pull your shoulder blades down beneath you. Keep the shoulder blades tucked in underneath the body. Tuck in your ribs. Good. And then slowly come up with feet and arms. Just 3 times. And then bring the arms down beside your body and let them relax. Keep the shoulders tucked up underneath. Good. Take the soles of the feet together for just a moment in this Supta Baddha Konasana, Supta Bhadrasana, reclined nobility pose. And then lean your body weight over to the right a little. Take the left leg to the center and then tuck the left leg in. So bring that left leg into internal rotation. And then bring it back and come back to neutral. And then the weight a little bit over to the right side. And then just the left side, sorry, then right leg in internal rotation. And bring it back. One more time on either side. Good. And then lift the hips, shake them out a little bit. Make sure you have your lumbar curve as you place your bottom down and extend the legs out. Flex the feet initially. Just flex the feet completely. Keep the heels on the floor with the feet flexed. And then relax the legs, relax the feet, relax the groin. Now check in with your shoulders. Shoulders are tucked down and underneath the body. Relax your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your hands. And if you can let the breath move into the belly without force, just letting the breath move. Noticing your whole body. Relax your jaw, relax the tongue and the mouth, letting your teeth part slightly. And that means a broken ego. It's said that the broken jaw of Hanuman represents a broken ego. So just letting your mandible drop away. We're going to take our time coming out of Shavasana, just becoming aware of the breath and the body. Find it in your belly or your chest. Allowing your eyes to roll in the sockets in one direction and then the other. Letting the tongue roam the mouth, the back of the teeth, the roof of the mouth, swishing it along the front of the teeth. And then opening the mouth wide as if you were yawning. Begin to wiggle your ears and wriggle your nose. Swimming your fingers, twinkling the toes. Letting the body come back in through the senses. Consider, if you will, a nice big overhead stretch. Point the toes, reach the arms away as far as you can. Breathe. And then bring the body back into the midline. Bend the knees, put the feet solidly on the floor. Lift your hips up, shake them out a little bit, rock them to one side, and roll over into embryo on the other side. Just curl up in embryo, this position of safety, security. And then using the hand of the upper arm, keep your chin tucked into your chest as you begin to press into the floor, spiral up. Keep the chin tucked in and let it be the very last thing that just plops right on top of your spine. Resting your hands again with an open palm, tuck in the index finger, rest your thumb on the nail in Gyan Mudra, the mudra of wisdom, Sabiduria. Everything integrating. Pranayama, meditation, dharana, concentration, and asana, the postures. Bringing the hands into the heart, Anjali Mudra. Any merit we may have earned this morning, we lift it up to the welfare of all sentient beings. So taking your intention, what did you intend for your practice today? Pull that from your mind and place it down in your heart to the palms of your hands, and then intentionally letting these offerings go up and out into the universe, bringing the hands gently back into the heart. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste. Okay, I'm coming to you and we'll have a chat and see how you felt about practice. I'll be right there and I'll fix it so you can talk. Great. And let me get this spotlight out of there so you can see one another if you'd like. No, great. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. So, good morning. Hi, Gayatri. Nice to have you. Welcome. Hi, Chitra. Surya Prakash, really nice to see you again this morning. Sky, Mamata, welcome home. Leah, Mary, hi, Amber. And I've seen Antonia, Kate, I'm glad you're there. Gita, Sylvia, Amy, Wendy, thanks to everyone for coming to class. Appreciate you. So we did what I call a big Nadi Shodan today. I don't know if you feel that you had some energy cleansing overall. How do you feel right now? Do you feel like you have more energy than when you started this morning? Yeah, because I really tried to move everything out of the joints and then move it out of the body slowly. Any kind of blockages or anything, just let it go. You know, like we do it with the breath, but we can also do it. Oh, all right. Antonia had a migraine and it's gone. Praise God, right? Yeah, it's we keep so much in our joints. We keep so much just tension in there, right? Oh, thanks, Mary. You know, we really do kind of keep it in and need to let it go. And so just moving that energy through and starting at the joints, loosening them up, getting them ready for the action, and then starting those big actions with all of the actions in the joints, but big, right? And it is like a big Nadi Shodan. You know, Nadi Shodan is left, right, you know, and we're coming in like a horseshoe. And so when we work the body in those poses too, one side and the other side, we're having that same effect, working on Ida on the left side, which is our softer lunar feminine side, and Surya on the right side, which is our masculine solar, more energetic side, right? So it's that constant balance, and we can feel that some days we can feel that one has overtaken us, that one is a lot stronger. We're either feeling that we don't have access to the lunar energy today because we're upset and angry and whatever, Pingalas. And some days we feel like we don't have access to that push, that we need that push to push through, you know. So just trying to bring in the balance, trying to bring in the equanimity, samastiti, yeah, equal balance, yeah. So any questions about anything we did? We did just the basic yogic breath, built us into the yogic breath, and then we just meditated on that little nothing breath that hopefully you were left with, that just like paying attention to that breath and noticing how little you need, truly, you know, how your body, after the pranayama, how your body is much more, it's what we call anatomically, it's degassed, right? So you don't need those big inhales or big exhales. You just, the body is kind of floating. And we hope that that brings the mind to that kind of floating place. Remember, where the mind goes, pran goes, and also where the pran goes, the mind goes. So it's this interchange of pran and mind. So Babaji said both. Where the mind goes, pran goes, and where pran goes, the mind goes. So really keeping that in mind. So any questions about any of the practices? Any questions about how did it feel to do the extension at your flexors, hip flexors? Was that too much for anybody? Good. Mary loved it. Good. Uh-huh. I really need that. I find that I walk around with my hip flexors on all the time, flexing all the time. I have this little tiny, you know, flex without even realizing it, where this just stays like that without me realizing it stays in flexion. I very seldom can think through the day, just bring the leg back in. And this has been my constant this week, because I have a nerve on this leg that this will tend to bind up if I keep that flexed on my bad hip side. And so it's just like, nope, let's just try to lift, 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 lift. And I'm really trying to create it from the spine, right? So that stops that little constant flexion that I do. It's so, I think it's so important to kind of get in touch with that being long. Any comments?
Kamala, you're saying that to like count. Kamala, you're saying that to counter the lower doses. You're saying as a counter movement.
I don't think it's really such a, well, it probably is a counter movement because of the flexion, because of the anterior tilt of the pelvis. I have more lordosis, right? Just anytime that I go, like anytime I'm here, I'm back there, right? And it's not even that I have more, it's like this whole thing is moving in this direction. But this is a more comfortable place because they're so tight. That psoas is so tight sometimes. So like when I now I'm just literally going to press my psoas in, but I'm using my quads to do that. I'm using my quads to press in to that space. And now I have the same lordosis, but it's at a different place. you know what I mean, Aaliyah? Like here, like you'll see here,
Yeah.
this part doesn't really change, but it looks like it changes. This is kind of a thing we do in ballet all the time, where all the ballerinas look lordotic because of that flexion at the top of the femur, right? So I'm just trying to like pull it in and pull at my pelvic floor and balance that whole area so that I don't have any pain down my leg from my nerve. Mary says, why did you introduce that flexion with the block? Whoop, I lost it. Why did you introduce that flexion with block after we had moved off the floor? Why not earlier? I felt like we had to move with the flexion first. I think we had to that's our normal, is just like to move internal rotation, external rotation, internal rotation, external rotation. And there's not a lot of places, like people who can do full bridge pose, like bridge pose the way that Babaji used to draw it, which was with the legs extended out, not bent at the knee, right? That's a great pose for finding that flexion, but that requires a lot of extra strength. So I kind of just wanted to do flexion, 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 internal, external, internal, external, and then see how much it would receive, how much the muscles would receive, because they'll often spasm if they don't want to go there, if you don't feel that. But I thought laying down with the block, first I thought about doing it standing, because we came back and did it standing. Remember when we came back to the mat and I took the foot back and forth and we went from the ball of the foot to the toe and the ball of the foot to the toe? I thought about doing that first. And I thought, it's more likely to spasm if we go with that much body weight to do it. And so when we just laid down and did it with the block and the support, I felt like it gave people a little bit more chance to experience that full extension of that joint with support, right? And so then when we came up, like you'd been on the floor and you now knew what that right there felt like. So when I said go back, oh, that's how that's supposed to feel back there. Because for a lot of us, we'll still give a little flexion right there. We'll still manage to flex that hip. And usually externally rotated a bit, which is really we don't want. That'll make the knee hurt later. Yeah. Thanks, Mary. Great question. Yeah, great question. Any other questions? Anything else? Did you like the pranayama being just saying what you were doing, nothing else, just trying to focus on the breath itself? Good, good. Okay. Yeah, it's so important to find our true meditation, to find which one works with us. Like in the yoga teacher training, we give a smorgasbord. We give everything you could possibly imagine. We give light, we give breath, we give like you can do a full moon, you can do tratak, you can do all of these different things. It's quite amazing how many things we give to a student. We don't give the smorgasbord because we want people to have like 9 different types of meditations. We give it because we want you to find the one that's like your perfect meditation. So like even when you're in class with me, if I give you one that you don't like and you have one that you do, just go to the one you love. Go to the one that you know works for you, that you can keep your concentration, you can keep your focus. Like when people get really into big, busy meditations, which I don't think are meditations, I don't know what I think they are, but they're super busy, right? And I have some of those too that I give, because for a vata vitiated person, someone with too much vata, too much air and ether element, they need that to tether their mind. They really need that to kind of tether in. But once you kind of found a place where you feel more or less tethered, it's kind of like that's too much, right? So sometimes when in teacher training and I'm visiting the class or I'm in there, I just check out and do my little tiny nothing meditation. And I just turn whatever voice is on into a drone. And so I encourage you that if you have a meditation that you know works for you, and you start one that's not working for you, just go back to the one internally that works for you, you know. I really encourage us to find the perfect meditation and stick with it. Babaji, I said, how long do I have to stick with the mantra he gave me? He said, not long. And I said, how long? 3 weeks, a month? And he said, 5. I said, 5 weeks, 5 days, weeks, months, years, 5 years before I should let that one go to see if that one was working for me or not. Well, now it's been almost 20 years. So same thing, same mantra, right? Just give it a whirl, and there you go. Yeah. Sky, you had a question, sweetie?
I was just going to say, I really liked it when we were had our arms out and we were supinating and
Pronating, supinating.
pronating. It really did make my shoulders relax. Like I didn't have to. It just naturally helped me to just keep them in. It's just a great thing to do.
Yeah, it's just adding the elevation and the depression at the shoulder girdle to the pronation and supination. You know, you're just elevating the shoulders, and it's great for the elbow joint. It's great for everything. You know, it's really the traps love it. I mean, everything loves it. Just adding that supination, pronation. Yeah. And I feel like you all, when I looked at the screen, you all look like seagulls. Everybody looked like a whole flock of seagulls. There were only about 5 or 6 of you off camera, but I have you guys first and all the non-video participants are last. And so I just looked and saw a whole flock of seagulls. It was beautiful. Yeah, okay. So any questions or anything at all? I'll look forward to seeing you next week then. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great weekend. And Amy, I'm headed right into a meeting, so maybe text me later in the day. Okay, I have a meeting at 9:30 and I got to go get some food in my belly. So much love to you all, and I'll see you next week. Okay, bye everybody.